Happy Saturday, everybody. What I decided to do is number one, not say and I already did. No, but seriously, what I've decided to do is I've decided to put together some compilations of videos that I've done on the Kiely Rodni case, because I realize that there are some of you who have been with me since the beginning, but there are a lot of people who haven't seen my videos. I can tell by some of the comments that people have made that they have not watched my videos. Otherwise, they wouldn't be making the comments that they did and saying, well, you should talk about this or you should talk about that. It's like, go back and watch my damn videos. I already did. I did a whole frickin' video on that subject. So anyway, what I thought I would do, I don't know how many of these I'm going to make. There I said again. Okay, Kevin, stop saying Okay. Well, people, it is 5:26 in the morning, so, and I've only had one mug of coffee so far, and I have not had breakfast yet, so give me a break. Well, actually, I'm the one smacking myself, so I'll give myself a break. Give me a break. Give me a break. Break me off a piece of that. Whatever. I do like Kit Kats, though. I like Twix, too. But I can't have candy. Anyway, what I thought I would do, I'll get to the point. Shut up. Shut up, Kevin. Get to the point. Okay. Put together some compilations. Like I said, some of you have already seen all of it. But, I know from going through my videos and watching them myself, there's a lot of stuff. Oh, I don't remember saying that. I don't remember going over that. So I did the videos, and if I don't remember it, you probably don't either. So what I thought I would do is I'm trying to grab the best information out of the videos that I do, and hopefully, it'll provide some value to you. I know that there are a lot of you who haven't seen my videos, haven't gone back to watch them. Maybe this will inspire you to do so, or maybe you might think, oh, his videos suck, I ain't watching them. And one thing I did find out is that I think I've come a little ways since I first started doing these, because when I first started doing these videos, I didn't know how to do anything. I didn't know how to add text on the screen or graphics or anything. And so I have come a little ways since then. I'm not anywhere near an expert or like a professional video editor, but I've learned to do a lot of things since in the last year. So anyway, I'll go ahead and get started with the excerpts from the videos, and hopefully you'll get something out of it. I don't know what's going on, and I'm going to get into how I believe law enforcement totally botched this thing. I cannot believe they did what they did. It just absolutely astounds me how they handled this. And I try not to be critical of law enforcement since I'm former law enforcement. When I see things just as blatant as I've seen in this, it's almost like they're trying to botch it. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's just, if they're offended, they're offended. But to me, it's a no-brainer. The stuff that they did, you don't do. Especially when you suspect that maybe there's foul play involved. And the fact is, if Kiely hadn't gone to that party, she'd be alive today, most likely. And the thing that bothers me is a lot of times when something happens to somebody, the basic reaction of people is they always seem to blame themselves. Well, if I'd only had done this, if I'd have told them this, if I wouldn't have let them do this. I haven't heard any of that. I haven't heard the mom say, I should have never let her go to that party. That should be one of the first words out of her mouth. Of course, that's my opinion. Not everybody's the same as me, but to me, there should be some kind of culpability that she feels. And I have not seen any remorse. I haven't seen, other than a little bit of crying before they found her, I haven't seen the same kind of attitude since. and I'm sorry. I know that they're grieving. I feel sorry that they lost their daughter. But the fact remains, you've got to be a parent. You can't be the friend. You've got to be a parent. So anyway, I'll jump off my soapbox there. Sit down and dissect things. I was going to go into a couple of things, but the one thing I want to go into tonight is that the interview that Sammy had with All American Dream Chaser. There's just a lot of red flags in there, and so I want to go into, and I'm not, I don't have all this fancy stuff where I can put all these video clips and stuff like that, because that's just not really what I do. I just wanted to put my 2 cents worth into this, and tomorrow I'd like to get into something more about the vehicle, the windows that were down, and why they were down, and things like that. But tonight I just want to go over briefly. Well, I always say briefly, but I always end up being long-winded. But Sammy's interview that she had on there, and I'm gonna be referring to my notes a lot because it's like way too much to memorize. But the first thing that she says in the interview, she says, one of my really close friends. And if you have kids, that teenagers, their whole life revolves around social media. Snapchat and Facebook and Instagram and whatever else is out there. There's so many things that I haven't kept up with. But that their whole lives revolve around this stuff. But yet, and Sammy says that Kiely is one of her close friends, but yet neither one is following the other on social media. That just doesn't make sense. If they're close friends, they're going to be following each other, because it's like you can't go to the bathroom, on there anymore without somebody knowing about it or somebody posting about it. So for her to say that they were close friends, but yet they weren't following each other on social media, it just doesn't add up. Also, too, and I'll try to link the video, the interview, in the description so you can go look at it, since I'm not actually posting clips of it. But just when you watch it, when he asks her if they were good friends, or when she makes a statement, that we're really close friends, she says, we became really close friends. You notice when she does that, while she's saying that, she's looking right at him, and says, and then we became really close friends, and kind of looks off to the left, generally people, when they're lying, they'll look away or they'll move their eyes around, a lot of times. And you'll see that a lot in her interviews, that she's looking here and looking to the left and closing her eyes and stuff, trying to think of what to say instead of it just flowing out. Because you notice there's a lot of places where she talks, she's very animated and that type of thing, and then, then she gets to a part where she's not so sure of. All of a sudden she stops and she stammers and that type of thing. But let me find where I am on my notes here. I apologize, but it's been a long day. I'm just trying to get something out here. But when he asked her, he says, you were at the party with her, you can tell, from her reaction to that question, that she's trying to come up with a narrative on the fly. At least that's how it comes across to me. Because generally, if you know the information, you are forthcoming with it, and it just flows. You don't have to think about it. But she's looking all around and stumbling on her words, and to me, it's obvious deception. And if I was in an interview room interviewing somebody, and they're just talking on, and then all of a sudden I ask them another question, and all of a sudden they're like, I don't remember. No. If she was sober enough to remember the things that were going on up until the time that Kiely supposedly disappeared, she'd know what was going on then too. You know, if she was that wasted, she wouldn't have been able to remember any of it. But you know, she deflects a lot. He asks her a question, and there's a couple of times where she's like, I can't. But then the interviewer lets her off the hook. He doesn't press her, and she doesn't bother to continue answering the question either. She just deflects it away. There's 2 or 3 times I noticed during that interview that she deflected it, and he let her get away with doing it. Now that's something, as an interrogator, I would never do. I mean, in fact, anytime anybody tries to deflect something away, I would double down on it, you know, and nail them on it, because you know there's something wrong with that picture. Now she states that Mags, who supposedly Kiely took there drove to the party with her, she said that she left after 10 minutes. But later, in a TV interview, Mags goes into great detail about, these guys showed up and they had all these drugs and this and you know that, and goes into all these details about the party. And it's like, okay, how can that be if you left after being there for 10 minutes? There's no way that you would know that stuff. Now, where did she get that information? Well, it's the same things that Sammy was talking about. So there was a narrative, it seems to me, and I could be wrong, but it seems to me that there's a narrative supplied by Sammy that now everybody is kind of like in cahoots about. You know, whether it's intentional or not. I mean, there's no way to know. But it's just way too suspicious to me. And because there's no way that you could be stating facts about something when you were not there. So either Mags is lying about leaving after 10 minutes, or she's just, you know, parroting the story that Sammy supplied. Couple. Okay, so again, I apologize. Another thing too, another contradiction, something that I can't figure out. During one interview, when they were talking about it was one of the TV interviews, where I think it was Mags and Sammy they were interviewing, and they were asking them about these older guys showing up with drugs and that type of thing. And Sammy says, "Oh yeah, you know, there was these guys there, and it was really scary." Well, if it was scary, then why did you decide that you told Kiely, asked Kiely for a ride home because you wanted to stay longer? Why would you want to stay longer if it's so scary? See, that just is not. That makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. It does not compute. And then she says of her and Kiely, "We were seen together all around the party." Why would you say it like that? To me, that's like putting up kind of an alibi or a defensive type statement without needing to. Why would you use that wordage? We were seen around the party instead of we were together at the party, or something which would be like the normal thing that you'd think somebody would say. And notice again her eyes going upward when they asked her what they were doing. She said, "Oh, we were going out drinking, taking shots," and da da da. And she's like, while she's saying that, she's, which is indicative of somebody concocting a story on the fly and thinking, okay, yeah, this, yeah, I'll say this, instead of just, because you notice her difference in her demeanor. They'll ask her a question that she's very comfortable with, that she's already rehearsed in her head, and she's like, yeah, and then when he asks her something that throws her for a little bit of a loop, or she's not sure, she hasn't previously rehearsed in her head, doesn't know the answer to, then she's all, and that's just, to me that just reeks of deception. And then she says, when she says we would go back to her car to get more alcohol, she's looking at the camera when she says this. We would go back to her vehicle to get more alcohol. And then she has to come up with something that happened after that, and you notice that she's looking at the camera when she says, and we went back to the car to get more alcohol, and then we, and again she's looking off, and obviously, is trying to come up with something. Then she continues to move her eyes around and fumble, and then, and again, another one of her deflections, where she says, "Oh, well, it's just hard to remember." And again, he lets her off the hook. I just don't understand why some parts are so easy to remember and other parts aren't when they occurred in the same time frame. Now, if it was something that happened hours later or something like that, or something that was a long time ago that was hard to remember, I can see, but it just doesn't add up. And then she says, she asks Kiely for a ride, then says, she asks her for a ride, and then says she left to go back to the party to find another ride. Then she later says, well, the reason I went to find another ride is because Kiely was too inebriated. Well, then why did you ask her for a ride? Because the time frame doesn't make sense. She says she asks her for a ride and then goes back to the party and asks somebody else for a ride. But she doesn't mention going back to Kiely's vehicle and seeing her too intoxicated. It just doesn't add up. Back to the edge of the shore where she can get in the water, she's going straight, and then when she gets to a certain point, there's an arrow drawn in the gravel there, the dirt and gravel. There's an arrow pointing straight where Kiely's vehicle was. And so she's going straight. Now, normally, if you're going to go, straight in there, you go straight down, and then, you put your kayak right there. Instead, she gets right down to where that arrow was, and then she veers off to the left and goes in the water right in the direction of that arrow, which actually points to right where Kiely's vehicle was. There's also another video I saw where they're out in a boat, and there's like a little buoy thing, and it's, it only looks like this big, like it's kind of like blue or gray, but it's floating on the water right above where Kiely's vehicle was later found. Now explain those things to me. If they'd done all this searching and they had no idea where she was. I also find it interesting, and Adventures with Purpose, I believe, got there. I don't know for certain. I know they found her on the 21st, but I think that they searched Boca and the other areas on the 20th, if I remember right. What's interesting is that law enforcement told them, oh, there's no need to search Prosser. It's already been searched. You can go ahead and clear that. You don't need to go there. I don't know, but that is a major, major, major red flag. The arrow pointing to where Kiely's vehicle was, them telling them to not search Prosser. But fortunately, like Doug said in the video when they recovered her vehicle, says, yeah, they've told us that it's been searched, but if we haven't searched it, we don't consider it searched. And thank God they think that way. Otherwise, she'd still be down there. Because I just don't. I really, my gut feeling tells me that they weren't really looking. They were making it look like they were because the news was covering it. I don't know. I could be wrong, but with all the shady stuff that's gone on in those counties in that area, and the things that have been swept under the rug, it really makes me wonder. Because all the rest of the way, it seems like they did everything they could. I mean, to me, it seemed like from the very beginning that they wanted to do with this like they've done with so many things and call it an accident. But here's the thing. It probably would have been. Even later, if they found it, they would have probably just ruled it an accident. But the thing that thwarted that was when Adventures with Purpose came in there, and they found it. Well, first of all, let me back up a little bit. I think they were pulling back on the investigation, if I remember right. But then, so many people from social media started messaging Adventures with Purpose, saying, "You need to search this. You need to look into this." And I think that's the only reason that things kind of turned around, and law enforcement is kind of like, well, you know, we're going to be under public scrutiny now. There's going to be thousands of people. They're going to have their eyes on this. We can't just sweep it under the rug this time. Because I really feel that they would have just said, oh, this is an accident, and let it go at that. I could be totally wrong, but that's just my gut feeling. That's just my opinion. And the way they've handled this investigation, have botched it every inch of the way, I think that just adds fuel to the fire for my theory. So, Adventures with Purpose comes in there, and they find the vehicle. Alright, number one, once they informed law enforcement that that vehicle was there, you treat it as a crime scene. On a deal like that where you don't know what happened, especially where she was found in the cargo area of the vehicle, you have to treat that as a crime scene. And I don't see them doing that. I mean, I just can't believe the way they handled this. Okay, first of all, you handle it as a crime scene. You seal it off so nobody else can get in there. Of course, they did actually, I think, they told Adventures with Purpose to go somewhere else. But why? Why didn't they, knowing Adventures with Purpose's expertise and their track record, why did they just tell them to get the hell out of Dodge? You know, to me, that's another red flag. I don't understand that. Because you know how Adventures with Purpose would have recovered that vehicle. They'd have floated it to the top. You don't flip it over underwater. I mean, that's just idiocy. That is just complete idiocy, especially when you've got windows open. I mean, why in the hell would you do that? That's just stupid. Anyway, so they tell Adventures with Purpose to, you know, basically piss off, you know, get away from it. And then, instead of floating it and bringing it out as it was sitting in the water, number one, so you don't lose evidence. And, well, first of all, crime scene 101, you wrap the frickin' vehicle. You wrap the windows. Just like Adventures with Purpose always does. You wrap the windows. You've got two open windows. Well, plus they frickin' busted the driver's side window out when they flipped it over. God, that's just moronic as far as I'm concerned. They pull the car out, and then they don't send anybody into the water to recover the things that might have fallen out, because they should know, common sense is going to tell you, when you flip that car, there's going to be stuff flying out of there. It astounds me. I don't understand. So they pull the car out, and then they don't send anybody back to get anything. And there, as we found out, there was a lot of stuff there that came out of that car. Because was it a week later or something like that? I think it was like a week later. Check It TV went in there and found Kiely's laptop, found a bag full of stuff and some other stuff that he says that, you know, he can't release right now, whatever. And then I guess I was watching, and this is just something that I heard on another video. I don't have any actual proof of it, but apparently Adventures with Purpose said something in a video about there was another dive team, not law enforcement, just another private dive team that went to the location, and these were scuba divers. These weren't snorkel guys like Check It. These were scuba divers that went down and recovered a bunch more of Kiely's stuff. I'm really hoping that one of those things is her phone. I'm really hoping. Keeping my fingers crossed, my eyes crossed, my toes crossed, everything. I don't know what else I can say about this, you know, other than it's just a cluster. You know, and that is my fear. My main fear is that they're going to pull back the investigation and conclude that it's an accident. Community. Now, we all live in places that we can call communities. However, that word community doesn't always mean the same thing. We also don't usually see the term used like we've seen it used in the interviews surrounding Kiely's case. Seems that no matter what question is asked or what statement is made, it always seems to revolve around community. It always returns to the word community. The question we need to ask is there something more here than meets the eye? More than just some people living in a town or an area as we normally use the word community. Truckee, California, is known as an intentional community. Now, what is an intentional community? If you just do a basic Google search for intentional community, this is the definition you find. An intentional community is a group of people who have chosen to live together with a common purpose, working cooperatively to create a lifestyle that reflects their shared core values. All right, so right from there, you know that a community, what they practice is going to depend on what their shared core values are. Since Truckee is an intentional community, also known as a commune, and also described as a utopian neighborhood or utopian community, we're seeing businesses and organizations with the commune mindset migrating into the Truckee area. I just did some simple searches, and one such group that I found is a business called Gravity House. That's H-A-U-S. And by the way, I'm going to post all of these links, everything that I mentioned in this video, I'm going to be posting links to in the description, so you don't have to just take my word for it or believe that I took something out of context. You can read it for yourself. So this Gravity House is this organization developing community in a different lifestyle and just like that. Now, if you look on Gravity House's webpage and on their statement on why they're moving into Truckee, this is what they say. They say, feedback from our members and guests made it clear the Truckee location would be an ideal property and community to expand beyond Colorado. I wonder why that is. They say not only is Gravity House reinventing how people live, okay, reinventing? We've been on this planet for thousands of years, and we're just now reinventing how people live. Okay, so not only is Gravity House reinventing how people live and work, enabling an active and healthy lifestyle, we are defining a new model of hospitality based upon inclusivity, community, and conscious consumerism. A lot of big words there. All right, they say this on another part of their site. They say Gravity House connects people who see the world as an incredible playground. We help the planet. Okay. Okay, I'm not understanding how this is helping the planet, but that's what they say. We help the planet by traveling. Okay, so increasing more footwork upon the planet, that's going to help. Recreating and growing with others and learning along the way. Oh, and that sounds sweet. We believe that for enhancing your active lifestyle, one experience at a time, we're doing it right. Or then we're doing it right. Now, community first. Everything else will follow. I guess my only question would be, what is the everything else? Community first. Yep. Alrighty. They also link to another website, which is IC.org, which IC is the Foundation for Intentional Community. All right, they have a bunch of courses on their website about intentional communities and how to organize them, how to run them, how to do all this different stuff. Got bunches and bunches of courses on that. And by the way, these courses are not cheap. Most of them are $299 and up. They better be pretty good for $300 a piece. Video for $300, or course for $300. I don't know how many videos it is. I guess maybe more than one video, but eh. Now, when you go to their main page, they have a video promo up in the right corner. Now, I challenge you to watch that video and look at some of the shots in the video and tell me that doesn't remind you of what's going on in the background of Lindsay's celebration speech. Again, this is linked in the description. It's also interesting to look at their mission statement. Now, the highlighted portions were already there. I didn't add them. The statement says, we value family, playfulness, warmth, and shared joy in our common humanity. We are people-oriented. We intentionally build community and organize and design our physical space to support and enhance people's lives. We are stewards of our environment, aspiring to make a positive impact on our physical surroundings. We are civic and social leaders aiming to positively impact our town, region, country, and the world. All right, now, notice that statement. We are civic and social leaders aiming to positively impact our town, region, country, and the world. Okay, so that sounds nice on the surface, but what they're saying, in other words, you have these community activists, as I see them, coming into towns and attempting to take over the political reins of the area. That's basically what they're saying. I mean, I've personally seen that taking place. I mean, when I was living in Montana, we would see these flocks of, I'm sorry if you're from California, but most of them are Californians, they'd move into the area, and instead of us enjoying the area as it was, they always attempted to change it and complained about everything being different. Well, in California, you could do this. In California, you could do that. And blah, 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 blah. It's like, okay, then move the hell back there. In fact, it got so bad that the city of Missoula had actually put out a brochure, what to expect if you live close to a dairy. Hello. Yeah, if you live close to a dairy and they have a bunch of cows, there's a good chance you just might smell cow poop. You think? Now, while intentional communities are not cults, many cult experts say that while they may start out as just communities, there's the possibility that they can start showing cult-like behavior and tendencies. One of the experts in an article I got, and like I said, all this stuff is online there that I'm gonna post. He said members of cults and cult-like groups, which he described as self-sealing systems, that's an interesting term, isn't it? Self-sealing systems, are often afraid to speak out against the group's beliefs and make decisions they know will keep them in good standing with the group's leader. So in other words, instead of doing what's right, you got to make sure you stay in good standing within the group. And we all know that a lot of the attitudes and statements made by many of the people involved make no sense to the rest of us. There's an article from Rolling Stone, of all places, called Cult or Commune, How Utopian Communities Turn Dangerous. And that's worth reading. Again, I'll post that in the description. There's another website. It's called intheknow.com. And it's another article that I'll post the link. It explains how even communities with good intentions can turn into a cult. It's worth reading. One quote from the article states this. It says, communes provide resources for people looking to find communes. Well, duh. And warn that you should instead call them intentional communities, artist refuges, and community living situations. That's kind of like we used to have a garbage man, and now there's a sanitation engineer. All right, not putting that down, just saying, we have to, pretty beautify everything, or however you want to put it. All right, of course, let's generate some new terms and mask what it really is. Another says that a commune, in parentheses, a cult, can appeal to someone who views themselves as a free spirit who is in search of other free spirits who does not like being constrained to the social rules of society. All right. Another quote says, nobody joins a cult. You join an organization you think is going to change the world because you like what they're doing. It's possible to get involved in a group that slowly changes over time. That's the history of almost every cult. And for those of you who grew up in the same time period as me and remember Charles Manson and Jim Jones and David Koresh and all these other cults that started up, they all started out as communities. They didn't start out as cults. And then one guy got to the forefront, became the leader, everybody started listening to him. We all got brainwashed, and we all know what happened with all of those. There's another quote that says, genuine communes have a list of requirements, and not everyone gets accepted. When I saw that, I thought of one of the messages that I got from one of my viewers, and I want to read that for you, because I think that every one of you will find this extremely interesting. And I'm going to read it just like he wrote it, all right? He says, very weird area. Been there a bunch in Tahoe. Locals, Truckee are some good people, but many are very shady and don't like people in their business. Yeah. We had to have emergency Airbnb because our Tahoe rental wasn't ready. The entire street wanted to know why we were there and who we were. And they were very mad. We were there for 12 hours, LOL. Kind of like they were mad AWP found her car and a body. Strange area. Cop or sheriff we dealt with was shady as hell. Who calls sheriff when someone stays in a legal Airbnb for 12 hours before going rafting? Because our Tahoe house rental wasn't ready. Very strange. Even owner of Tahoe rental said, stay inside, don't bug locals. WTF is that? Whew! Can you imagine such a thing? Have you ever visited anywhere where the people were suspicious of you being there? I mean, especially in a tourist area such as this. I also find it interesting that he mentions having a raft. Could it be that they were suspecting they were there to search for Kiely or Kiely's belongings? Or other evidence? Just depending what, I don't know if this was before or after Kiely was found. But either way, how many red flags does that raise for you? It almost makes my hair stand up on end. That is, if I had hair, I might stand up. But, considering he was staying in an Airbnb, why were they so suspicious? Also, why did the owner tell him to stay inside and not bother the locals? What? My experience in tourist areas is that locals love to meet new people, welcome visitors. They're usually very friendly. This is indeed a very strange, secretive area. It almost seems more like a secret society than just a close-knit community. Another interesting quote from that same article says, cults rely on relationships to be effective. These powerful relationships temporarily suspend critical thinking because cult leaders attack the pillars our lives are built on until they are the only trusted source people have. Facts don't matter when you're getting your information from a trusted friend. Facts don't matter. You know what we're seeing in this case? Praising and hugging people who should be drugged for questioning, in my opinion, and then vindictiveness towards those who actually helped. It's a completely twisted and unnatural way of thinking, if you ask me. I find it interesting that almost every picture I look at of people in these intentional communities, they look like they came straight from the 70s. I mean, since I lived through that area, it's like almost like reliving Woodstock all over again. This picture here is from the Contact Us page of Lost Trail Lodge, where I know that Kiely's family lives there. I think they might run it. I don't know for sure. I haven't really delved that far into it. But hey, welcome to the 70s. This is our version of Back to the Future. Okay, so if we understand the Truckee community and the mindset of the people over there, the first thing that comes to mind is Jeff thinking that putting up some billboards is going to get answers. It's not going to get answers. People, you're totally wasting your time. Number one, putting up billboards at the colleges, those are going to be kids from outside the area for the most part. The kids from the area are going to go to other places to go to school just to get away from home. That's usually the way it works, right? So you've got people in colleges in the Truckee area, Truckee Tahoe area. It's going to be, the majority of it's going to be kids from other places. And if you're dealing with the Truckee community, you've already seen nobody's talking. And putting up some billboards, you know, saying, if you have information, they already know all that. It is a small community, people. They already know everything. I mean, I know from talking with, I had 5 or 6 people that I was in communication with from over there, in constant communication with, who were filling me in with a lot of information. And anytime they tried to talk to anybody about Kiely or about the party or, you know, anything to do with her case, they would just clam up. Yeah, you're going to waste a lot of money donating to something that has no chance of succeeding. And people, I'm being honest. I'm just being honest with you. I'm not trying to be a butthole about it or anything else. I'm just being honest. That's the truth. If you, the Truckee community, as you've seen, they're a close-knit, they're a self-sealing community. They are a close-knit community. And they don't rat on each other. I mean, it's like a cult, like, and not everybody like that's over there, but a lot of people are afraid to buck the system. And I've been told this by people who are over there. They'll take you out. And there's been a lot of people who've been taken out, and they swept it under the rug. There's even been government agents who have been murdered, and it's been swept under the rug. You never heard about it. But I have talked to people behind the scenes who are also involved in investigations in that area who told me about it. And so people, look, they are not going to rat on each other. They're not going to do it. I mean, there might be an aberration someday who goes behind the scenes and remains anonymous and will say something, but for the most part, you're trying to get these billboard things, for information and stuff like that, people, I'm telling you, it's not going to work. If you understand the mentality, the cult-like mentality over there, this intentional community, this self-sealing. Do you understand what self-sealing means? I think I explained that in the video, but just in case you didn't catch it. Self-sealing means they keep everything to themselves, nothing gets outside. It's kind of like if you watch sports and you have something that's dealing with one of the athletes and they say, well, we're they're asked about it by an interviewer and they'll say, well, we're keeping it in-house. Everything is kept in-house. That's exactly what they do over there. They keep everything in-house. Yep. You don't rat on each other. Because people, I'm telling you, why do you think Kiely's family has not thrown an absolute fit? I mean, because if that was my daughter, I'd be all over their ass. I know my mom would have been. I've been yelling and screaming and going, but they're afraid to speak out because they literally could be killed. That's the way it is over there, and they know it. They know who's in power. They know what has happened to others. And there's been a lot of deaths swept under the rug, covered up. Kiely's is not the only one that's been covered up, by far. By far. And so if you understand the kind of community this is, and you'll understand that no billboard is going to change things. There may be somebody that comes out once they don't feel threatened. Maybe they live in another area of the country. However, the powers that be in the Truckee area have political connections all over the United States. And people know that. So they're thinking, hey, even if I move across the country, these people have connections. And I mean mainstream political connections, even with DC. All right. You got to understand how evil people can be, how evil they really are. And the power that they have to take people out. So, now that doesn't mean we can't get answers, but putting up billboards and making people aware, they're already aware. It's not going to make anybody any more aware than they already are. I mean, like I said, I know from my sources that I was in contact with in Truckee, they were telling me that probably 80% of the people over there believe that Kiely's death was not an accident. But they were afraid to speak out. But they told me, they said, hey, everybody you talk to is freaked out, saying this was not an accident. But they're afraid to speak out because they don't want to end up at the bottom of a lake. Or buried in the middle of the woods or whatever. So you have to understand that. You have to understand, you have to read the room. You got to read the room. All right, so anyway, that's all I'm going to say for this video. I hope that it's been beneficial to you. And if you want me to come out with some more, let me know. If not, then I'm going to waste my time. But if you want me to make some more videos like this, I'm more than willing to do it if I feel that it's worth my time. All right, so hopefully you enjoyed it. We'll catch you later.